After more than a year inside, we can all relate to the need for human connection. But as more people turn online to find it, the more catfish come out of the woodwork. And Neve Schulman and Kamie Crawford are ready to reel them in.
The new normal created new connections.
We've never had this many hits.
Stranger stories.
Yes, I can hear you.
And even wilder reveals.
So you're a porn star?
Neve and Kamie are ready to reel them in.
What the hell is going on?
New world, new catfish.
And Neve and Kamie are with me now. Guys, how are you?
Hello. All right.
Excited.
Look at this. We're FaceTiming.
We're
It's not that hard. It's
We're
not that hard.
No, we're making it happen. We're making it happen. But listen, okay, so, we've all obviously spent a lot of time at home. We've been, a lot of people who are by themselves have been lonely, have been bored. Do you think that people are more at risk this past year for being catfished than any other time?
I think 100% yes. I think that, everyone right now can relate to the experience of feeling isolated, feeling lonely. I have more girlfriends hitting me up being like, oh, I think I'm going to join Hinge, or I think I'm going to join Tinder than ever before. And it's really just to have someone to talk to. And I think that that is what we've been missing the most throughout this entire experience of being in a pandemic, is that face-to-face interaction. So I can understand why people would want to hit up the apps and, try to make new friends. And I think a lot of times, especially right now, having something feels better than having nothing. And people are more willing to talk to strangers on the internet.
Yeah. And like Neve, the flip side of that, we're talking about people being more at risk for being catfished. But do you think the flip side of that, do you think people are more willing or more likely to catfish someone because they're lonely?
Well, there does tend to be a theme amongst the catfish, which is that they feel as though they are isolated, whether it's, geographically or just emotionally from other people.
Yeah.
And that the best way that they can connect in an environment that they feel safe and confident in is on the internet as someone else. So I don't really know if that's changed or not. But like Kamie was saying, I think because more people who would traditionally just meet people in person are now going to the internet, there's more fish in the sea, which unfortunately means more potential victims.
Yeah. So this whole season you guys did virtually like we're doing right now. How did that feel for you?
I mean, we've been doing it, so it felt kind of normal. We've been doing it since the start of the pandemic, but now in this, kind of grouping of episodes, you get to see Neve and I together, which is the best. I think we can both agree.
Yeah.
It's more fun that way.
No, it's definitely more fun. Yeah. I mean, look, the weird thing about the show is that a lot of it already existed on the computer.
Yeah.
Even pre-pandemic, we were researching on the computer. We were FaceTiming with people before we met them. And what's almost ironic is that now the whole function of the show is simply to achieve the FaceTime video chat that these people should have had months or years ago to begin with. So there's almost, it's almost poignant that like all we're trying to get them to do is what they should have done this whole time.
Yeah. And Kamie, we see you throw like literal red flags this season. I mean, what can people expect? Did you have any standout moments from this season that you want to talk about?
Oh, this season is weird. That's literally the only word that I've been able to use to describe it. It's weird. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens. You can never expect anything on this show. You have to expect the unexpected every single time. Like there have been times where, maybe the outcome is a good outcome. And Neve and I are like, oh, this is great. Like they're going to fall in love and they're going to live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't happen. And we're like, what? Like it's a lot of sidelining with our hopefuls. It's a lot of sidelining with the catfish just to like kind of gauge where they're at, because it can change at the matter of a second.
Yeah, you really have no idea which way they're going to go. And, in one episode, Neve, we see that it kind of both of you guys are rooting. Maybe this is what you're referring to, Kamie, but you're both rooting for these people to make it work. I mean, do you think that oftentimes people start out with good intentions and then they maybe just take the wrong path?
Well, yeah, we did have an episode where remarkably it looked like things could work out.
Yeah.
And I think similarly to the phenomenon of, you know, when you're even, you know, before the internet, when you would pursue someone and they might play hard to get, and then at some point they are, you know, I don't want to say you get them, but like it works out, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it was actually more fun pursuing you than it is actually being with you.
Yeah.
And I think that can happen on the internet too. You see this person, you imagine them to be this whole thing, this perfect figure, and then all of a sudden you see their face, you talk to them, and the idea of this mystery and this pursuit ends, and it's not as fun.
Yeah.
So we had some situations like that where we thought, what are you, crazy? This is it. This is the person you've been talking to. You say you're in love with them, and now you have them and you're not interested. It's like, what's wrong?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think it is that prevents people from seeing the signs that something here is amiss? You know, like in the premiere episode that I saw, like the guy had been talking to this girl for years, and she could never get on a video chat with him. She couldn't FaceTime. She couldn't video chat. She couldn't do anything. He should have seen that, right?
I mean, we ignore the signs in real life relationships, not just online. You know, people are dating someone for a long time and they know that this isn't going to work out, but it's like, it's convenient. I already have it here. Like, why switch things up? And, you know, sometimes we think that through experience and through time, we can change people or we can make them do things differently. Having the added layer of never having met the person, it still boggles my mind half the time.
I think something that everyone can relate to is the idea of gambling. So even though when you go to a casino, you know your odds are low, right? That you're going to necessarily win big.
Yeah.
But you're having fun. It's something to do. Even if it costs you a little bit of money, fine. Most people, if they get into a relationship that's not going well, they walk away.
Yeah.
But there are people who will keep doubling down because they think maybe eventually I'll win it all back. I'll win it big, right? So like, I think that there's a similar mentality of, even though I should stop investing in this relationship, if there's even a small chance that maybe somehow it could pay off in the end, I'll keep trying.
Yeah. You know, what I love about the two of you though, and this show, is that I do feel like you bring compassion to these people. You don't judge. Do you almost feel a sense of responsibility to both sides to help? Because it's hard. I imagine it's harder not to judge and place judgment on the catfisher.
It is tough. In fact, I would say the thing that happens more now, at least for me, Kamie, you can answer for yourself. I find that I don't even know what to say anymore. I know that, you know, the catfish should not have lied or should have acted differently or been more accountable. But who am I to tell them that they're wrong or that they should have done this or shouldn't have done that? And I find that the producer who obviously is invested in the story and watching and hearing along with us, oftentimes when we take our little tech breaks to reset the Zoom, you know, recording, we'll say like, Eve, you got to be harder on them.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable being so hard on someone. They're vulnerable. They're obviously upset and struggling. And like, the last thing I want to do is kind of come down on them and scold them. That's what Max was for. And now we don't have Max.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm finding it's tough to fill those shoes.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, you know, I kind of take on the role that Max took as like bad cop or like sassy cop that says, you know, what comes to the top of mind, but that's also just like naturally how I am. But it is impossible not to empathize with someone when, you know, you guys see a 45-minute episode and we're talking to these people for more than 45 minutes each. 2 days it takes to film, you know, one virtual episode. So we get to hear a lot of their backstory and why they ended up, you know, doing what they've done. And it's hard to not have compassion for anyone going through the situation. But what I found is that, you know, now more than ever, we're kind of having a little bit more empathy and a little bit more understanding. And I don't think we ever try to come from a place of judgment. We try to come from a place of understanding. And that typically gets people to really, be vulnerable and say what they've really been going through.
Yeah, because I have to believe that anyone who is willing to catfish someone, there's something going on with them too that's not quite right. Meaning like they're going through something that's led them down this path to do that, and that needs to be addressed as well. And so it's a hard balance, I imagine. But Kamie, you've been doing the show for a little while now. What's your biggest takeaway from start to now?
I think it's been the same from the beginning, like just understanding that everybody wants and deserves love. And, sometimes that looks a little different. Sometimes it's a little crazy. Sometimes the start of it is a little rocky, but eventually I think there is someone out there for everyone. How you catch them is on you. But, I think that at the end of the day, people have good intentions most of the time. And even the people who come on our show and are catfishing, they do have good intentions most of the time. Now, the scammers and the ones out for revenge, I can't speak on.
Yeah.
Well, I will speak on them during the season, but I can't speak on them in advance.
Yeah. And Neve, I have to put this out there. Between like the photo filters and, the photo editing and the curated social media posts, do you think everyone is really catfishing just a little bit with social media? Because it seems like nothing is really what it seems anymore.
Yeah. Well, there's a term people have sort of adorably coined called kitten fishing.
Oh, really? That I haven't heard.
Well, that's essentially what you're describing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this idea that we're all editing and filtering and, just sort of bending the truth a little bit. Still me, it's still a photo of me, but, do I look exactly like that in person? Probably not.
Is the light always perfect on my face?
Right, exactly.
Wherever I go. Yeah.
Like if you were to invite someone over for a date, you'd only be able to sit in that exact seat with the lights, it's like, otherwise they'll realize it's so. Anyway, so yes, I think that we're all becoming more comfortable with the idea that, we're presenting our best selves. And the one constant that exists throughout time is that if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you won't know if it works until you're in that relationship.
Yes, and then you're in person.
Right. And
video chat.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I just got to see one episode this season. I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
You can catch Catfish, the TV show, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on MTV. It was so good to see you guys. Thanks for taking the time and catching up today.